the late afternoon sun dipped low over the interstate, casting golden hues on the long stretches of asphalt that wound through rural Georgia. A sleek black SUV rolled quietly into the rest stop off exit 42, its tires crunching over gravel as it parked beneath a cluster of tall pines. Inside, Dr. Maya Jefferson unbuckled her seatbelt, her bones aching from the long drive. She was heading back to Atlanta after visiting her mother in Savannah, and the trip had been emotionally draining. She just needed a moment just 10 quiet. Minutes to breathe, stretch her legs, and return a missed call from her father. Maya, 38, was calm, poised, and every bit the professional. A federal judge recently appointed to the Northern District of Georgia, she carried herself with quiet authority. But she never flaunted her title. Her dusty rose blazer was casual. Her natural curls pulled up into a soft bun. No assistant, no fanfare. Just a daughter making a call from a rest stop. She stepped out of the vehicle and leaned against the passenger door, pulling out her phone. Her father's voice came through warm and concerned. They chatted lightly at First Family. Updates, her mother's health, but Maya's expression slowly softened as her father began sharing old memories. The kind that made her close her eyes, the kind that took her back to Sunday morning breakfasts and long talks on the porch. She didn't see the squad car pull up. Two county deputies, both white, mid-40s, emerged briskly. One kept his hand, resting casually on his belt near his holster. The other narrowed his eyes, scanning the area like they were walking into a crime scene. Maya turned, startled by their sudden presence. "Good afternoon, officers," she said, keeping her voice calm. They didn't return the greeting. "What are you doing here?" One barked, "I'm making a call," Maya replied, holding up her phone, still on the line with her father. "You live around here?" "No, just passing through." "You look nervous." "I'm just tired from the road." The shorter deputy stepped closer. "Mind showing us some ID?" Maya blinked. "Is there a reason?" "You're acting suspicious. We've had reports of drug activity in this area." That word. Suspicious. It always found its way into stories like this. Maya felt her throat tighten but stayed composed. "I'm a federal judge," she said softly. "I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm making a call to my father." They scoffed. "That right?" the taller one said. "You got anything in the car?" "No." "We're gonna need to search it." "Not without probable cause." The taller one suddenly reached for her wrist. "Turn around." Her phone clattered to the ground as her father shouted her name through the speaker. She gasped. "You're making a mistake." Cold steel clamped around her wrists. As they pushed her face down against the hood of her own car, she couldn't speak. She was in shock. Not from the physical aggression, but from how fast it had all unraveled. How little her words meant. How invisible her truth became in the face of suspicion. They held her for 40 minutes. They ran her plates. Called in her license. Eventually, the radio squawked back with confirmation. Judge Maya Jefferson, federal appointment, no criminal record. No warrants. No cause. Nothing. They took the handcuffs off slowly, like maybe she wouldn't make a scene. Maybe she'd just leave quietly and disappear. Maya didn't yell. She didn't cry. She picked up her phone, brushed off the dirt, and told her father she was okay. Then she got back in her car and drove. But she didn't forget. The next morning, the courtroom was full. It was a misconduct hearing. 2 officers accused of racial profiling and use of excessive force in unrelated cases. Maya had been assigned to preside over it a week prior. She walked in wearing her black robes, her hair pulled back sharply. Now, no one in that room knew what had happened the day before except her. And them, the 2 deputies sat at the defense table, fidgeting nervously. When the bailiff announced her name, they looked up, their faces went pale. Maya sat tall in her chair, her eyes locked onto theirs with quiet gravity. She didn't smirk. She didn't blink. "I trust everyone is ready to proceed," she said. Neither officer spoke. Asterisk, the hearing began. Case after case of profiling, verbal aggression, unjustified searches. Victims who looked just like Maya, poor, black, alone. Asterisk, the irony was almost cinematic. But Maya didn't let it turn theatrical. She listened. Asked precise questions, allowed the victims to speak in full. Her tone never wavered, calm, just measured. Asterisk, the defense tried to rattle her. Tried to argue these officers were acting within standard protocol, that they were vigilant, not biased. Asterisk, but Maya knew the truth. Because she had lived it just 18 hours ago. Asterisk, when the final testimony ended, the courtroom fell still. Asterisk, I'll be delivering my decision in 1 week, she said. Until then, both officers are to be placed on unpaid leave. Gasps whispered through the room. As the gavel dropped, the deputies stood frozen. One looked like he wanted to speak. Maybe apologize. Maybe defend himself again. Asterisk, but Maya had already risen and turned away. Asterisk, that night, alone in her chambers, Maya opened her notebook. She didn't write about anger. She wrote about cycles, about silence, about dignity, about the quiet power of truth when spoken without rage but with resolve. Asterisk, word of the incident at the rest stop spread quickly. Someone had recognized her. Car, the story hit local news, and eventually national headlines. Federal judge mistaken for suspect at rural rest stop. Her face was on morning news shows, her interviews calm and razor-sharp. She didn't call for vengeance. She called for change, for reforms in field training, for accountability structures that included civilian oversight, and for a shift in culture from fear to fairness. But it was what happened a month later that no one saw coming. One of the officers, Deputy Carlson, resigned. But not in protest, in remorse. He showed up quietly at a public community hearing, not in uniform, not with lawyers. Alone. Asterisk, he waited in line to speak. And when he did, his voice trembled. Asterisk, I failed to see the humanity in someone because of my assumptions. I didn't just handcuff a woman, I handcuffed my own integrity. The room was silent. Maya sat in the audience, listening. No reaction. Just stillness. Asterisk, he didn't look at her, he didn't need to. His words weren't for her forgiveness. They were for his own awakening. Asterisk, after the hearing, as people dispersed, Maya walked past him in the hallway. Their eyes met. He said nothing. She gave a single, small nod. Asterisk, nod of approval, not of sympathy, but of recognition. Because that's what this was always about, not revenge, but recognition, that under the robes, under the badge, under the fear, the anger, the uniforms, we are all still just human, capable of wrong, but also capable of redemption. That day at the rest stop could have broken her, but instead it revealed her. Asterisk, and now, every time she walks into her courtroom, she walks in not just as Judge Maya Jefferson, but as a living reminder that justice isn't just about law, it's about light, even when it shines through handcuffs. Asterisk, especially then.